care of it, because the president says we should talk about it. All right, he has instituted the committee as usual, 5 people to go and decide how much politicians to pay each other. But you see, that's the funny thing, right? In the end, how much of what the committee puts together will actually be implemented? Because as I recall, it is Parliament that will determine what the executive should be paid.
We'll
the executive will also approve what.
So
really, the committee will give some report, some recommendation. But
well, ideally, they are supposed to stick to it.
Yes.
Ideally.
Yes.
Because the presumption is that an independent body has actually gone through it. We don't want you determining that this is how much you should be paid, or you and your friends in the elite grouping.
Yes.
But I mean, there's a more fundamental question, Kojo. See, if we were to be a company, right, and the company has posted this wonderful year 2020, 2023, 2020, 2021, has gone through COVID and have gone through all the difficulties we have in this world, nobody can convince me that that company will be sharing dividends. Or even be determining that you deserve a slight increase in your pay. If for nothing at all, not even how much was paid to workers when it comes to the yearly increments. Not some time ago, we were dealing with 4%. We were dealing with all of that because the agreement was that there isn't money in the country. If collectively, the problems that we find ourselves in currently and the mismanagement that has been, that we are being forced into currently, is as a result of the collective action of the elites in this country. I think they should have the conscience to reject any form of conversation about any emolument redesign. Because it sends a signal, just like the Bank of Ghana's new headquarters, it sends a signal that you don't really care about the people. And it's how much you are getting that's actually more important to you. But we are failing. Let's not miss it. In fact, we are failing because the people are taking money for no work done. If they were working in private companies, they would have been sacked because they failed woefully. Their colleagues elsewhere are even struggling to maintain their current salaries. Now, of course, I mean, this group is supposed to determine that this is how much they should be given, and it's mostly backdated, so that's what the point is. I am saying that if that's the standard, they should reduce their salaries rather. And the emolument committee should determine that these people deserve a lower salary.
Well, there might be some. There might be some.
Let's do that.
There might be some labor laws.
You can say that is.
There might be some labor laws that will.
No. But why we put together our labor laws as a people? No. The point I'm making is that
can't operate outside the laws. I
get signal that we are going to, and that's what happens all the time. There isn't a single year that I've heard or seen them reduce drastically the amount of money they received the previous year.
For me, I think.
But we are worse off, so they can't be worse off.
So when the president announced it, I was hoping because of all the things that we've been through, IMF, debt exchange, people have gotten haircuts. I was actually hoping that because of all these reasons, COVID-19, Russia, Ukraine. It would not even be announced in the first place. We'll just maintain what we've been on in the past.
Yeah, the president doesn't have that option. He doesn't have that. The Constitution says he has to set up a committee to do this. Listen to what he said.
I must indicate that in recent time, a lot of public discourse surrounding the remuneration of public officers. This may well be an issue for further constitutional debate and decision.
So I mean, look, he doesn't have a choice. He has to set up a committee. The question is this: at what point are we going to actually change the arrangement itself, the actual structure, so that there is an automatic process that determines how much a president gets paid, that determines how much a parliamentarian gets paid? So it's not up to some committee to come.
I don't entirely agree that he doesn't have a choice in this, because if you look at it, it's upon the advice of the what's that group in CRA that we there was recommendation that we should reduce to
Council of State.
5, but it's 25. Council of State, thank you. It's upon the recommendation of the Council of State, isn't it?
No, the Constitution says. Let me read what it says.
Yeah, the Constitution says something, but I'm just saying that, see, there are things that we haven't done because of Russia, Ukraine. True or false?
Yeah, a lot of them.
People got haircuts because of Russia, Ukraine.
Yeah. It's only fair.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, because these are not normal times. These are exceptional times.
Yeah.
And we are saying, one of the persons celebrated recently, just last week, was Professor Dateba. I mean, who has, and we will get into our UPSA law school points of law series. Maybe I should just say it, and then I'll hammer my points very well. It's still related to this.
Yes, go ahead.
Right? So this is the UPSA law school points of law series today. And it's from a decision in this case, Frank Ejechum and Attorney General, it's a 2006 decision. It says the purposive approach to the interpretation of the Constitution requires that implicit words be read into the Constitution to avert a manifest absurdity. It has to be remembered that there is room for the unwritten in a written Constitution. The fact that the country has a written Constitution does not mean that only its letter may be interpreted. And that's Professor Dateba in the case that I mentioned, Frank Ejechum versus Attorney General 2006, which is a Supreme Court decision. I'm just saying that if we say the Constitution grows and breathes, then we shouldn't be using some of these things and saying that, oh, by all means, we must set up a committee. By all means, we must review. By all means, we must pay ex gratia.
In 2015, the president then at the time, John Dramani Mahama, said, see, listen, I've heard you Labour people. If you wanted to scrap this entire face and actually put everybody on a single spine, and so that we are all public servants, we actually deserve the same level of engagement and all of that, let's do it. Then it was also reduced to, let's have a conversation about it. Between 2015 and now, I've heard a former president say the same thing. That
We've been talking.
Let's get rid of that.
He says when he comes back, he will scrap it. He didn't scrap it while he was there, but if he comes back, he will scrap it.
See, the signal we send to the ordinary people of this country is that it is for ourselves, it's for our benefit that we do governance. It's for a certain small group of people. So that when everybody is suffering, they should enjoy more. That signal is dangerous.
So let me read.
That signal does not augur well for everybody.
Let me read Article 71, the part that is relevant to this, okay? There are quite a long list of people here, so but bear with me. It says, Article 71 of the 92 Constitution is entitled Determination of Certain Emoluments, okay? So this is what it states. The salaries and allowances payable and the facilities and privileges available to A, the Speaker and Deputy Speaker and Members of Parliament. B, the Chief Justice and other Justices of the Superior Court of Judicature. C, the Auditor General, the Chairman and Deputy Chairman of Electoral Commission, the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice and his deputies, and the District Assembly's Common Fund Administrator. D, the Chairman, Vice Chairman, and the other members of I, the National Council for Higher Education, howsoever described.
The other ones,
I, the Public Service Commission. I, the National Media Commission. V, the Lands Commission. And V, the National Commission for Civic Education. Being expenditure charged on the consolidated fund, and that is the qualifier. Okay, their salaries are expenditure charged directly to the consolidated fund, shall be determined by the President. Here the language is important. Shall be determined by the President on the recommendations of a committee of not more than 5 persons appointed by the President, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State. So ultimately it's the President who will decide. But the Constitution says he must set up this, there's a shall there. He must set up this committee and take their advice or listen to their advice. Whether he will actually follow it is another matter. Okay. Anyway, later today on the show, in addition to all that you've heard so far, we're going to talk about whether or not it's possible to change the actual arrangement. I mean, is it impossible to amend the Constitution?
It is impossible. In fact, we have planned to do so on so many occasions. We have done so before. We have amended several sections of the Constitution. If we want to do this, it's because the people who should lead the amendment of the Constitution are beneficiaries. And whenever they are beneficiaries, nothing gets changed.